Hello, this is a presentation by Dagmar Frank, the CEO of WTW Women in Finance. This presentation is part of the She is Global Forum 2021 in Colombia. Dagmar Frank will talk about corruption, money laundering, and organized crime, and how this is all connected. She will especially focus on the connection between organized crime, corruption, and climate, and how the destruction of our environment and the forcing of climate change is further pushing us along in hybrid warfare. So thank you, Dagmar, for sharing your insights with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in She's Forum. I want to talk about corruption and the scores of humanity. Organized crime, what does it mean to women? Corruption and money laundering are two sides of the same coin. The UN estimate the damage worldwide is 3.6 trillion. That's really a lot of money. Around 25% of the world population pays bribes for government services. Experts estimate the damage caused by corruption in the European Union at 990 billion euros per year. That corresponds to 6.3% of the total economic output. The consequences are really terrible. Young people who grow up in corrupt circumstances focus less on education. Corruption weakens the government's ability to collect taxes and diverts spending away from valuable areas like health, education, and renewable energy and towards wasteful projects with short-term profits. And like always, the poor suffer the most. Corruption decision-making, whether in government, business, nationally or international, underpins the world's greatest injustice. It deprives citizens of the rights and opportunity they need and deserve, and feeds further injustice by eroding the institution meant to protect them. What is corruption? Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Corruption erodes trust, weakens democracy, hampers economic development, and further exacerbates inequality, poverty, social division, and the environmental crisis. Exposing corruption and holding the corrupt to account can only happen if we understand the way corruption works and the system that enable it. To confront the challenge and size of opportunities, Transparency International has a clear positive aim for the decade to 2030. A global strategy against corruption. Corruption can take many forms and can include behaviors like public servant demanding or taking money or favors in exchange for services. Politicians misusing public money or granting public jobs or contracts to their sponsors, friends, and families. Cooperation, bribing officials to get lucrative deals. Corruption can happen everywhere. In business, in government, the courts, the media, in the civil society, as well as across all sectors from health and education to infrastructure and sports. Corruption happens in the shadow, often with the help of professional enablers such as bankers, lawyers, accountants, and real estate agents. Opaque financial system and anonymous shell companies that allow corruption schemes to flourish and the corrupt to launder and hide their illicit wealth. Corruption adapts to different contexts and changing circumstances. It can evolve in response to change in rules, legislation, and even technology. What has to be done? Protect the public resources, stop flows of dirty money, secure integrity in politics, drive integrity in business, pursue enforcement and justice, expand civic space for accountability, build community leadership against corruption. I want to talk to you about the hybrid warfare and illicit finance. As you can see on the cartoon, World War I, World War II was fought with weapons. World War III is fought with the financial system. The hybrid warfare is a new and dangerous military strategy. It blends conventional warfare, irregular warfare, and cyber warfare with methods such as fake news and foreign electoral intervention. Illicit finance plays a major role in the hybrid warfare. It undermines democratic societies and allows illicit actors to gain power. The financial flows can either stem from organized crime or finance terrorists and other rogue actors. The hybrid war is a real and ongoing. The rule-based order is broken, as you can see on these examples, like killing Alexander Litvinenko with polonium, or killing attempt to almost to Alex Navalny with Novichok, just to give you a few examples. The hybrid war is not just public, but private. 80 to 90% of all critical infrastructure is owned and operated by the private sector. But they are the first target of a hybrid campaign. The vulnerability can quickly threaten the global governance. Given NATO heavy reliance on the private sector to provide logistics and communication capabilities during a crisis, these vulnerabilities can have far-reaching effects. Without the support of the civil society, hybrid war, the fight against money laundering and transorganized crime and terror cannot be won. In the hybrid war could be the civil society. As you can see in all these examples, LuxLeaks, WikiLeaks, Panama Leaks, Paradise, Bahama Leaks, Angola Leaks, and now Pandora Leaks, and nothing really has happened. Panama Paper, there you can see Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping and their friends hide money, and they really caught with pens down. But what has happened? Nothing. The transnational organized crime, it includes illegal drug, slave trade, illegal employment, smuggling, and one of the most and fastest growing one is the cybercrime. The common denominator of all these criminal activities are the huge illicit profit. Let me introduce you quickly the team for the financial measures against money laundering, the Financial Action Task Force. In many countries, striving for profit is still more important than the necessity to protect against risk and fight money laundering. The Financial Action Task Force is the highest committee for money laundering. It's founded '89 by the G7 and the EU Commission. The 40 recommendations regard repression and prevention. The recommendations are not international law. It's a so-called soft law. The community of the states is requested to transform these recommendations into national law. How organized crime destroys the environment, stop or reverse climate change. The illegal lodging, fishing, and the wildlife trade, the cost, how to combat it. Climate change is a threat multiplier that impacts the alien security. The World Bank identified the economic cost of illegal lodging, fishing, and the wildlife trade. The bank puts these costs of these illegal activities between 1 and 2 trillion. The environmental crimes is the largest conflict in finance sector. 38% of income that finance the largest armed groups derive from environmental crime. And I want to highlight to you the correlation between not fighting corruption, not fighting money laundering and organized crime, and the climate destruction. The major environmental crime drives and impacts. Please take a look at that picture. Why should women be interested in the fight against money laundering, organized crime, and the financing of terror? Well, fighting against money laundering and the financing of terror concerns all of us. The protection of the democracy. Who does not want to wake up in a dictatorship better acts now before organized crime takes over. We have to ask questions to politics and judiciary. Do you tolerate the mafia or fight seriously the transorganized crime? How far has corruption already undermined the bureaucracy, the politics, and the rule of law? Transparency achieves knowledge about the international organized crime and talk about the mafia and draw attention to it. Let's ask us, what can women networks do about world? Worldwide demand of VTV Women in Finance is fight transnational organized crime. Talk about it and inform about it. That's what we do today. Thank you to She Is. Offer advice and present these subjects. And most important, appreciate whistleblowers, the police, the journalists, and the experts on money laundering and propose them to award. I think it would make really a difference if we, let's say, have an award for a policeman who fights the mafia. It would be a sample for younger policemen. Crime enablers reveal the web patronage and cover and discussion. Scientists who researched in this field discuss how to resolve the problems, form working groups for individual subjects and invite lady experts, solidarity networks with women and educate children in the sense. Support anti-mafia organization, travel and study groups. Don't buy drugs and fake products. Demand freedom of information law and transparency. And then send letters to our member of parliaments, ask questions and find others who are interested. And let's ask the question, what else can we do? The triumphant march of the transnational organized crime, the plundering of complete continents, and the terror are still going on in full strength. Freedom, safety, and democracy must be actively defended. And I believe together we could do it. Women networks fight against corruption and money laundering. I thank you for your attention.